नेक्स्ट सेशन आईआईटी बीएचयू से प्रोफेसर जहीर खान सर और प्रोफेसर मेघांशु वसीस सर का रहेगा। और टॉपिक है, क्योंकि सिंगरौली हैवी इंडस्ट्रीज़ का पूरा हब है, मेनली जब हम बात करें माइंस का, थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स, स्मेल्टर और दूसरी इंडस्ट्रीज़, तो यहाँ पे रिपेयर टेक्नोलॉजीज़ की जब बात करते हैं, वेल्डिंग या क्लैडिंग से रिलेटेड, तो उसमें क्या क्या स्कोप है, बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ क्या हैं, तो इसी पे प्रेजेंटेशन है प्रोफेसर जहीर खान सर और प्रोफेसर मेघांशु वसीस सर। प्लीज़ सर।
A very good afternoon to all respected dignitaries and guests from MSMEs, my colleagues from IIT, BA2 and other industries. Today I am going to talk about the investment opportunities for MSMEs in repair work of large components like heavy earth moving machineries, power plant equipments, etc. I am Zahir. I am Zahir from Department of Mechanical Engineering along with my colleague Dr. Meghanshu Vashist. Next please. Operations and maintenance are a very important component for any running industry, and it includes all the activities that are to make sure that run in a proper fashion. Good maintenance practice can lead to cost saving and should be considered as several types of maintenance that or maintenance practices follow. First and the foremost is the preventive maintenance, ensuring that the problem is identified at a regular inspection and fixed before they actually occur. Next is the condition based maintenance, where equipment parameters are monitored and any irregular behavior in those patterns can predict that some failure is going to occur and preventive actions can be taken. Similarly, there is a predictive maintenance based on the past experiences. We know that components fail after a predefined period of life, and based on that a schedule can be made and maintenance can be carried out. And last but not the least is the corrective maintenance, where the products, components and machineries have failed to be reaction in a fashion. Next please. So talking specifically about repair and maintenance in mining and power sectors, because we are talking at a forum where people from nearby region have come and we are looking for opportunities in this area. So this area is basically occupied by industries which are involved in mining sector. Mining के काफ़ी equipments हैं, plus power equipments हैं. So in both these sectors, whether it is mining or power, the equipments are subjected to excessive continuous working, generally 24/7 without stoppage. The loads that are applied on those machines are harsh. They are packed loads, sudden loads, excessive loads, thermal shocks, stress corrosion cracking, and these components, many of the components, if they fail or they require any predictive corrective maintenance, they have to be handled on shop, on site. At most they can be brought to a base workshop or a main workshop, but generally it is not possible to ship those equipments back to the original equipment manufacturer to get it repaired and brought to the place. So harsh environment often leads to frequent breakdowns and failures. These breakdowns are very expensive, both in terms of repair of these components are also expensive. At the same time, because of the failures, there is a you can say a disturbance in the regular working of those equipments, and these shutdowns are often very expensive. So in the proximity of the site where the failures have occurred to ensure that the equipments and components are available. It is important to note over here is that any thoughtless repair, if it is attempted, not only it will not rectify the problem, but sometimes it can make a component which is now possible to repair it, but now it has become unserviceable. So this is what currently the issue and the problem is, and this problem offers lot of opportunities. Next. So welding maintenance can be preventive or corrective. When we want to prevent failures from occurring, what we can do is that those components, those equipments that we have purchased, to increase the life of those components, they can be activities like cladding, facing, that can be done on those, so that the life can be increased. Now here this is tremendous opportunity, but because if you look at components like mining, they are continuously being used in environments where they get worn out, they get corroded, and if these components are before only cladded with a layer of material which is more hard, more wear resistant or more corrosion resistant, then the component life can be increased. These processes are again coming under the category of welding. Some of them require expensive equipments, but many of those processes can be done using equipments which, and they are already for welding application. Repair welding is another technique which has to be used often, full and in a manner so that it can actually help the industries where this has to be used. So based on this, we can say there is I have categorized it in 4 different categories where there is tremendous opportunity for investors. First, I will talk about the fabrication of the electrodes. Then I will talk about the establishment of welders training institutes. Then I will talk about possibilities of establishing weld characterization and testing facilities. And lastly, I will talk a little bit about upgradation of IITs and development of skill development centers in the nearby place. Next. So welding electrodes, I have made extensive survey, I have visited industries, I have seen it is extensively used for many repair operations in both power industries as well as mining industries. These electrodes are consumed in a very large quantity because most of the repair and most of welding work that has been carried out is relying on these welding electrodes, and it has been estimated that even globally the contribution of welding electrode as a consumable in welding is 40%. But if we look at the nearby region and the nearby industries, this reliance on stick electrode or electrodes of welding is still higher, something like 60% or so. So this offers a tremendous opportunity where we can establish industries which can manufacture electrodes. As far as the shielded metal arc welding electrode is concerned, it's a very simple consumable. It has just 2 parts, as you can see in this figure. So there is a metal rod and it's coated with a layer of flux. Any manufacturing industry that has to establish just need to initially procure the rod and coat it with a layer of flux. These 2 simple components and this simple activity can lead to an establishment of a welding electrode. Now why I am emphasizing this fact is that the electrodes that are used in these sectors, power sectors and mining sectors, they are not ordinary electrodes, and often these are not available nationally. These are specialized electrodes. There are lot of industries within India which are manufacturing electrodes that are used for various different applications. Those may not work well for these sectors. So what we have to do is, or what the opportunity lies is, that we can develop industries, small industries. The investment cost may be be as low as 15 to 20 lakhs. The production capacity can be enhanced very easily, and the profitability index is very high. The only skill or only scientific knowledge that is needed is what should be the composition of the flux, what type of electrode wire, the metal wire or rod we have to procure. These are not rocket sciences. We are there to help you. We can help you also. There are already standards available. There are books available. There are experts available. Definitely IIT BHU can help anybody who is interested in that, and with that little technical knowledge, this industry, small industry can be established, and they can cater the needs, or you can say cater the special needs of the nearby industries, particularly mining and power industry. Next please. Now I have been associated with welding, and I have visited many places across India. For welding jobs, we recruit welders. Often these welders are trained in those particular industries, let's mining industry or power industries, to perform the job fairly well. But for critical applications, it is often mandated that the welders should be well trained, but more importantly, they should be qualified and tested by agencies which offer certifications to the welders. A welder who has been certified by these agencies will have lot of demand, not only in that industry, not only it will improve the quality of the welds that are produced, not only it will improve the quality of the repair, but the employability of the welder will also tremendously increase. So if you go in particularly in western part of India and southern part of India, there are a lot of institutes which offer help to the welders, and in turn they can also make profits. So welding training and certification institutes, which are very small institutes, not as big as an engineering college, just a small institute where there are some minimum facilities. Let's say a training institute for shielded metal arc welding process has to be established. So a certain number of welding stations, a certified welding inspector has to be hired, and that institute can be started. The institute will provide training. Of course, they can charge a nominal fee, and after their welders have gone through an extensive training, they can contact organizations like American Welding Society, Indian Institute of Welding. The people from those organizations will come, test the welders both in their theory as well as in their practice, and then offer a certificate which will make the employability of those welders, or they will increase the employability of those welders tremendously. The cost that has to be borne, that can be taken in form of a fee from those welders, and successfully profitable institutes can be run on this mode. I have given the names, the websites of these organizations like Indian Institute of Welding and American Welding Society. They offer certificates which are well recognized, and they are very much sought after by welders. Next please. Now when we look at these expensive equipments that are used in mining and power equipments, there are bound to be some failures, and of course corrective actions in form of repair welding has to be carried out. Now during the repair process, as well as to ascertain why that failures have occurred, lot of scientific data needs to be collected in form of testings. There are private institutions, particularly in larger cities, which has to be approached and which offer these facilities. They have got trained professionals and those equipments that are needed to test the material, to perform corrosion testing, to investigate why a component has failed, and to offer some special testings. Now, after a component has been repaired or there is a component that has been fabricated in-house, there is always chances that there may be defects present inside the material. On the top part, the machines will actually destroy the material and then tell you whether it was good or bad. Then there are other sets of techniques that are available which can actually, without destroying the component that has been made or repaired, tell you whether it is good or bad. These are known as non-destructive testing facilities. So, private entities can be established which can provide this service at a cost. They can test the components to look for any defect that may be present, or whether the repair work has been done properly or not, or some crack or some failure is likely to occur in a component or not. Some of those facilities which will be very useful are ultrasonic testing facility, X-ray radiography, gamma radiography, magnetic particle inspection. Of course, little bit of expenditure will be required in procuring these facilities, and the people or the persons who have to handle these equipments also need to be trained and certified from ASNT or American Society of Non-Destructive Testing. ASNT level 2 people need to be recruited in these organizations, and these facilities can be provided. Similarly, the electrodes that are manufactured, and I am hoping that many new electrode manufacturing companies will come up, or these industries are procuring electrodes. Facilities can be developed wherein the electrodes can be tested whether they are suitable for certain applications, whether they are as per the norms, whether they are suiting those these requirements, or they are conforming to the standards as per our order or not. So, these type of testing facilities can be developed. Similarly, welding equipments are, particularly arc welding equipments, are pretty simple components, and any breakdown in those components can be very easily handled, because the parts that generally get damaged in these welding equipments, these parts are inexpensive, and generally when the welding equipment fails, it does not mean that the entire equipment has failed, only some components have failed. So, an institute can be established where testing, repair and rectification and standardization of the welding facilities and equipments can be carried out. Next please. Now, another very important area where I would like to talk, and where people have to think, particularly the MSMEs who are already having their enterprise in this place, and similarly the other big organizations have to think, is the upgradation of the ITIs and setting up of new ITIs which actually cater the needs of the nearby industries. The curriculum, the facilities that are generally present in ITIs need to be upgraded, so that people who are coming out after graduating from those ITIs, they have the necessary skills that will be required for the industries which are going to hire them. So, this is another opportunity where curriculum with a new curriculum, with a new course structure, ITIs can be established, and other existing IITs need to be upgraded. These facilities that can be augmented in the ITIs, they can also be used as a tinkering lab or a prototype lab, where any new idea, any new development that is coming to the mind of an existing manufacturing MSMEs, they can be tried out in these upgraded ITIs, and this can be used to that extent. So, that is all from my side. I have a small 2-3 slides that I would like to quickly go through. Next please. Okay, so as I have already told you that we belong to Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, Varanasi. So recently we have signed an MOU with Ministry of MSME, okay, Ministry of Central Government Ministry of MSME, New Delhi, wherein we are an implementation agency of a scheme of central government known as Design Clinic. So we are an implementation agency, and I'll tell you how we can help. This scheme basically is for those MSMEs that are involved in manufacturing sector. This is not for any MSME, only those MSMEs that are involved in the manufacturing sector. And these MSMEs, if they have got any design related problem or they would like to develop any new product, they can approach us, and together with IIT BHU, we can put up a joint proposal that will be sent to the Ministry of MSME, New Delhi. Next, please. So as I have mentioned, the idea is that any new product or improvement of the product, if it is needed by a manufacturing MSMEs and it requires investment, that can be handled through this scheme. So this scheme basically provides assistance to the manufacturing MSMEs in form of support from Ministry of MSMEs to the extent of 20 lakhs. So 20 lakhs rupees can be provided to the manufacturing MSMEs for any of these projects, provided the industry also shows their commitment by putting up 25% from their side. Together with IIT BHU, we can submit a proposal. And next, please. Next. So Government of India share will be 75%, and it can, the extent of help can go up to 40 lakhs. This will be in terms of expenditure that is borne in coming up with a new product or overcoming the existing problems faced by a manufacturing MSME. The good thing is that the 25% share that the industry has to put, that can come also in form of labor, raw material, design consultation charge, or any other charge that is justified. So any bought out equipment that will be later used in the industry can also be put as a share from the MSME. It should not be necessarily hardcore money. It can be in form of equipment also. The Government of India funding will come to the institute, and we will be providing you with the money that is required for whatever stages. In different stages, we will be providing you the money, and ultimately when the product or the problem is solved, the respective manufacturing MSME will be benefited from this. There is also a scheme that I would like to share over here. Sometimes the manufacturing MSMEs, next please. Next slide. Sometimes manufacturing MSMEs also face small problems on which our students may be interested in putting their effort. We have got very talented students at IIT BHU. They are the brightest students from the country, and they can also take up small projects which are known as student design project, which will again be funded by the Ministry of MSME New Delhi, and we will be the implementation agency. So this is another two schemes that I wanted to talk to you about. If you have any queries, I can take up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insight. I would like to call upon Dr. Meghanshu Vashisht on stage, and I request GMDIC, Shri A.R. Mansoori, to felicitate our guest with mementos.